So, my topic today is the ecstasy of being. All of those pictures are mine. I have about another, after service we'll have more, and we have some videos and just some sharing. Is for all of you who don't know, I am going back for the 10th time this coming week for a month. And some of you have said, well, what's over there? Why 10 times? Why is once not enough, right? And some people have no interest in going to Africa, but some people have a lot of interest in going to Italy, right, or to Tuscany, or to the beach. So I wasn't quite sure what to call the talk initially, but I decided to call it the ecstasy of being, because I suppose that's why I keep going back. So the definition of ecstasy is an overwhelming feeling of great happiness or joyful excitement. It is a transcendence of the self. When most of us, the word ecstasy doesn't really get attached to life most of the time, right? Like most people, you actually can't walk around like this all the time. Right? Because there are things to do in life, so you can't actually be, you have to you have to chill a little bit. But most of us are far, 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 far away from ecstasy because we end up being in our everyday lives in an everyday way. And those everyday lives and the everyday ways last most of us for a lifetime, because at some moment you get invited into a new experience, and it's really kind of common to say, oh, I don't think so, I'm pretty comfortable right here, right? Because it kind of feels big and bold and scary. But the soul, our soul wants what it wants. And the soul does want something, and it's wanted something your whole life. And the soul gives us nudges. Do any of you know what I'm talking about? Where everyday existence is not sufficient. And not that it's bad, and in fact, in no way is it bad. I remember I was 29 or 30. I was in a hotel in San Francisco on business, and I couldn't sleep. And I woke up and turned on the TV, and there was one of those shows for feeding the world, a World Hunger Organization infomercial, and there was a woman who kind of looked like me a little bit. She had dark hair. She was probably in her 30s, too. Anyway, her name was Denise Schubert. Whoa is right. But I was 30, right? It's like, oh, how funny is that? But I remember watching the whole infomercial, even though it wasn't about elephants, it was really about starving children, so it wasn't really that pleasant to watch. But nonetheless, there was Africa, and there was my name attached to it when I was 30. So when I was 60, so in 2014, I was 63, and I got a Groupon. Everybody know what a Groupon is? Like a living social thing, like a Groupon that said, you, from Lion World Travel, that said you can go to South Africa for 10 days for $3,995. It's like, right? I can do that. No, I can't do that. It's like, no, I could do that. It's like, no, you can't do that, right? And why couldn't I do that? Too old, too much money. I was ministering to the church in North Carolina. So 2014, I'd been there for 4 or 5 years. Anyway, so I went up to my then assistant minister, Reverend Dusty, and I said, Dusty, do you want to go to South Africa? And she said, sure. Right, so we went. And I am a doer in life. By the way, I'm an incredibly efficient person. I work hard, I work long, I work fast. My mind works faster than most people's, like a mile a minute, like the speed of light. And I get things done, and I always have. So the gift of Africa, really for me, was when you show up in front of that lion, and by the way, they're not that, but they're about that close. I mean, I do have a camera that zooms in a little bit, but that lion couldn't have been more than at the back of the sanctuary. And this afternoon, you'll see a couple pictures where you can see the vehicle in juxtaposition to the animal. But I can't even tell you what happened to me to be in this place where so many things, who I was made no difference whatsoever to anything. The lion didn't care, the elephant didn't care, right? My curriculum, my resume didn't matter, where I became unimportant. And it was such a transformative experience, the silence, the overwhelming silence of not doing anything. There was nothing to do but to be and to watch. And it was a life-changing event for me. And by the way, it was not all that pleasant experience coming back, because I had a hard time integrating back, really hard time, because I didn't want to do anything. Now, that won't happen this time. I got accustomed to it, but but that first time, it was hard. Because it was difficult to get back into the groove and to make the things that used to matter to me, right? To make the petty things that to me were so big before I went, to have them not be, to have them be, and to have me care about them. So I call it the ecstasy of being, because your soul wants expression. Everybody's divine birthright is to be, this beingness, and we don't know what that is. We either have never had the experience, or it's a little frightening, or we just have never listened. But I'm since then, my whole point in ministry has been to usher each person I meet into possibility. What's possible for your life? What haven't you done that you should be doing? Do we really want to be on our deathbeds going woulda, shoulda, coulda, because we were afraid, or because we didn't even know what the experience felt like? Because there is ecstasy there. You know, when we talk about God, we talk. Our purpose statement says we don't want just a theoretical understanding of our oneness and union with God. We want the whole enchilada. We want the ecstasy. Now, these invitations into experience, you can't cross the sea by merely standing and staring at the water. A quote by Tagore: you can't cross the sea by simply staring at the water. Guess what you have to do? You have to cross the sea. You have to go. You have to go. I want to share this one wonderful story. One of my trips was to go to Kenya, and I lived in Nairobi for 3 months. So I literally hired somebody to come live in my house, feed my cats, and I went to live in Nairobi. Now, I have never been as interesting to myself as I was in Nairobi, right? Like, who is this in Nairobi? Like, who am I living in Nairobi? It's a little different than South Africa. It's it's a city, very few white faces. So a lot of my stuff came up in Nairobi, right? Fear, being out of place. There was no Whole Foods or Trader Joe's. There was no one to cut my hair. The food was weird. But the biggest transformation for me, I don't know why I'm telling you this story, actually, it wasn't part of my plan, but I was living with Reverend Connie Phelps, who was the senior minister of the CSL in Canada, who had gone to Kenya to open up a Science of Mind church. And they had a big house, and I moved into this house. Well, one day, she and I decided to do this road trip. Now, we're two middle-aged white women, and she had a pink Volkswagen, right? And so we're going to go on a road trip out of Nairobi into the wilderness to go to a place called the Ark, which was a hotel in the middle of the Aberdare forest, and spend a night, because you could go there and it was tiered, so you can sit and drink your wine and look out into this watering hole. So we're driving they call it Masungas, two white women in this pink Volkswagen. And the trip should have taken us 3 hours. After 5 hours, we're hopelessly lost. So the GPS has tried to get us here and tried to get us here and tried to get us here. I can't describe to you the countryside of Africa, of Kenya. There are villages. There are no gas stations. There's no fire departments. There's no stores, really. There's nothing. So we did this final stretch. We pulled down this mile long, well, maybe not a mile, maybe a half mile, really narrow road, because GPS said to go there to get to the Ark. It's about the same width as her pink Volkswagen, and the goats had to move out of our way, right? They were tethered. So we get to the end. That's it, dead end. Half mile, pink Volkswagen, muddy, it was raining. So it's like, oh, now what do we do? We can't go back, we can't turn around. It's like, what are we gonna do? Out of the bushes come 6 African men. Are you with me? They were I'm going, now what do we do? Can you hear the sounds? Click! So Connie had already lived there for a few years, so she wasn't nearly as nervous as I was. So anyway, we managed to, none of them spoke English, by the way. So nobody spoke English. We're 2 old white women in a pink Volkswagen in the middle of friggin' nowhere. So my heart is racing. There goes my life. There goes my body. There goes my camera. It's like, life is over. I was sure. Do you understand? I was scared. So Connie got the car turned around, and we tried to put on the gas, but it was muddy, so there's no way we're going up this hill. No way. So finally we rolled down the windows. Hello, can you help us? It's like, could you imagine the stories they told their grandchildren? Well, to make a long story short, so they're pushing, they're pulling. Finally, this really roly-poly gentleman comes out of the same bushes, and he knocks on the window, and he goes, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "We're lost." And he goes, "I can see that." So these 7 wonderful men, and his wife ultimately came out as well. They spent 2 hours. Ultimately, what happened is one smart gentleman got a big rock. We pushed an inch rock, pushed another inch rock under the tire. Took about 2 hours to get us to where we can drive out of here. The kindness of strangers, right? The foolishness of our false beliefs. Who taught me that anyway, right? Who taught me to be afraid? Then this trip even gets better. So then we're out there, but we're still lost. We still don't know how to get to this hotel. So we're in the car, and the phone rings. "Hello, this is David with the Ark. Are you still coming?" It's like, yes, but we're lost. Oh, He says, "Find somebody near you." So it was this 10-year-old little African boy. And he said, "Give him your phone." So we give him his phone, and they go, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, "Okay, go to the corner, turn right. I will call you in 10 minutes. Drove. Ring, ring, ring. "Okay, where are you? Tell me." Okay. Turn left at the next road, and I'll call you back in 15 minutes. He did this for an hour and a half. Now, could you imagine the Hilton Hotel doing that for you? Right? It was unbelievable. So my point being, is when your soul, when you say yes, when you find the 20 seconds of insane courage to say yes to the invitation coming to you, what needs to come to you will come to you. Because that kind of experience, whether it's gazing into a lion's eyes or having your entire structure, right, your entire structure shifted through the experience, it changes you. You become more of who you're meant to be. Life becomes more of what it's meant to be. We are not meant to move through life like robots, like on a hamster wheel. It's like there's a promise of expansion, there's a promise of evolution, there's a promise of unprecedented growth. So 20 seconds of insane courage. You know, Michael Singer's book, The Untethered Soul, it's a, how many of you have read The Untethered Soul? It's really quite worth reading. He is a Buddhist. So the whole book is written from a Buddhist perspective. And I want to be completely honest, I love the book for only two reasons. One is chapter 15, which is a chapter on unconditional happiness, where he challenges us that can we be in life experiencing unconditional happiness? And most people would say no, of course not, because stuff happens, right? Shift happens, you can't be happy all the time. Well, he challenges that, and it changed my life to read that chapter, because it's the same with peace or love. Can you be in life experiencing unconditional peace? So chapter 15, but mostly I love the name of the book, The Untethered Soul. So to tether something means for it to be tied down. Remember how they used to, probably still do, though I'd have to go punch somebody in the nose, but they used to tether elephants in a circus, right, to a thing so that the elephant could only walk this far, right? So tethered means to tie something down so that it cannot move. So this idea of our soul being tethered is more than an idea. Our souls are tethered until they're not. But the untethering of them, the ability to fly free, is really a decision we must make at some moment. With some Groupon comes in the mail. Or someone just says to you, hey, Betsy, you want to go to Europe next year? For some of us, it's even, do you feel ready to go to the movies? Right? For some of us, it's small, and for some of us, it's big. But I want to just say to you that so I resigned my ministry in 2015 because the experience, while ecstatic, was also, can you guys relate to a term, the dark night of the soul? A period of unease, a period of not having my footing in life. So I needed time, so I resigned. In 2015, obviously went to Africa 8 more times. That's also when I went and lived in Kenya for a few months, and I feel very grateful that I had the opportunity to do that. Not everybody does, for many reasons. But without that experience, I would not be who I am today. You know, if you were to ask me, somebody asked Vera, Vera's not here today, right? But we were celebrated Vera's 90th birthday. For those of you who don't know Vera, she's 90, part of our community. And somebody walked up to her and said, how can you be 90 and be so happy? Right? Or how could you be 90 and be so vibrant and vital? And I think that what I'm talking about today has something to do with that, like this ecstasy of being, of finding who you are without a face, finding who you are without a resume, finding who you are without all those false ideas and beliefs you have about yourself and life, so that you can become untethered in life. So I almost didn't have any PowerPoints today because I read a quote by Steve Jobs. Did I say that right? Steve Jobs? Who said, the people who really have something to say don't need PowerPoint. It's like, oh my God. So, isn't that funny? It's like, okay, all right. So Emily Dickinson said, nothing more do I ask than to share with you the ecstasy and the sacrament of my life. Now, I want to find you, before I unpack this, the meaning, I have been sitting with this for days, the sacrament of my life, because it's a funny word for me, the sacrament of my life. Like those of you who are Catholic know what a sacrament is, right? Right? Yeah. 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 Part of this untetheredness of our souls is we are trained to, taught to, indoctrinated into an idea and a consciousness that you are a noun. That you, the definition of noun is a thing, that you are a thing. You are a minister, a mother, a doctor, a woman, a man. You are young, you are old. You are, do you understand what I'm saying? That we use, we relate to ourselves in kind of a noun kind of way. What's really true, and it's true about you, it's true about God, it's true about life, is that we are verbs. A verb denotes action. So we are always moving. You know, the other thing that Africa did for me is I now have nothing going on with me about a leopard killing an antelope. Nothing. Why? Because it's life. It's the cycle of life. It's the way things go. And as verbs, you know, without the lions eating antelope, there would be no lions or antelope, right? Without our allowing ourselves to be in movement, we become tethered. Do you know what happens when you become tethered? You know what happens. You become depressed. You become sick. The body, the spirit hates being tethered. You become, well, you name it, all of it. Just watch primetime television, all the commercials. All those medications are for untethered souls. Oh no, I'm sorry, they're for tethered souls. All those commercials are for tethered souls. You know, we met with the Blue Zone people here in Naples last week, and the Blue Zone people and the Blue Zone movement is really about how do we create environments where we can thrive and live long, long lives. And it has to do with healthiness, good food, good thinking, good community, spirituality. It has to do with embracing change. It has to do with saying yes to challenges. 20 seconds of insane courage. So, are you a noun or are you a verb? You're verbs. Say, I'm a verb. It's so, this conversation is actually a difficult one to have because we're talking about something that can't really be talked about. You know, we're talking about a state of being or a state of existence that is transcendent to our small self or the ego self. But the moment we start talking about it, we pull it into our mental structure. When in truth, it's really an ontological conversation about the very nature of being itself. So it's like a finger pointing at the moon. When you look at that lion, you feel one thing. When I look at that lion, I feel a different thing. And the difference is you're looking at a picture of a lion, and I'm looking at the experience of that lion. And I think you and I have talked about this before, that we want to live in such a way that we are living in the experience of our own life, that we're not tied, we're not numb, we're not like ostriches, that we are actually in the experience, good, bad, or ugly. So the definition of sacrament, there's something in this quote that if I were on my deathbed today, I think I would say this. I want to share with you my ecstasy and my sacrament. That I would want my life to be about that, and not about what it was when I was not in this state of consciousness, or before I had experienced this moment of ecstasy. The dictionary says sacrament means a ritual imparting divine grace. A ritual imparting divine grace. So when we take sacrament, right, it's given to us normally by in our religious practices. It also says a thing of mysterious and sacred significance. And the example they use in the dictionary is they used peyote as a sacrament, right? Something that imparts a mysterious and sacred significance. And so if I were to, when I look at the totality of my own life, and my life has been extraordinary, in almost many ways. I mean, even for me to be here as your spiritual leader doing ministry into this community, into the world, is a pretty radical shift from when I was 25 and doing whatever I was doing at 25. But in truth, your life is a sacrament. Your life itself is the thing of mysterious and sacred significance. So not just Africa. It's not Africa that makes it sacred and significant. It's everything that makes it sacred and significant. But we must open ourselves to have that experience of ecstasy. Because once you have it, you may not be able to stay there 24/7, but once you have it, you know it, that it exists. You know that that's the truth about who you are. And it begins to color and mold and define what's possible for you moving forward from that moment of experience. And whether you know it or not, your life is a sacrament. So this idea that you don't matter, that we don't matter, that nothing matters, is a lie. All the time we spend in fear, afraid of, whether it's afraid of a pandemic, afraid of people, afraid of what's going to happen next. It doesn't matter what happens next. You are birthless, deathless, eternal beings. Your whole life is sacred. So I look forward to sharing, answering your questions. You know, we're going to talk this afternoon about a possible spiritual sojourn for Unity Naples to South Africa next year together. I know some of you will be going. But want to answer your questions about what it's like to travel there, anything you want to talk about. So I have more pictures, some videos, and more conversation. I look forward to it. Thank you. Namaste. All right, so now I can get back get out of my body, back into prayer. So just join me for a moment by turning within, that space within you, that place within you, that dimension within you that is holy, that is perfect, that is complete, that is sacred. We close the outer eyes simply to let the world and all of its forms, effects, circumstances, conditions, people, places, and things, anything that displeases us, anything that pleases us, doesn't matter. Let that be right there. As you gaze into the very center of your being, you are a being, not a doing. You are holy. And just like staring into the eyes of a real lion in the real African bush, it tells you God is real. I am real. I exist. I'm a part of everything. I belong here. Not because of my degrees, not because I've accomplished so much, not because I'm cute, not because I'm rich. I belong here because I am a part of everything. And I am sacred. And you are sacred. And we elevate ourselves in this moment to the state of consciousness that knows nothing but unity and oneness, knows nothing but beauty and wholeness. We repudiate the tethered nature of this human existence. Oh, sure, we can honor it, but it doesn't have to hold us. It doesn't have to restrict us. We are free. We are light.
I am divinity divine. I am the God on the inside. I am a star, a piece of it all. I am light. 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 Sing with me. I am light. I am light. That is all we are. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light.
And so I claim for each one here, I accept on your behalf that invitation comes forth. You meet it with 20 seconds of insane courage. That we together, you and we together, we embark on the experience of a lifetime that lets us know that we know that we know. Truly all is well. And so we are grateful. We are thankful. We are touched by divine grace even now. And so it is. Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you.